Welcome to our channel. What if I told you that some Roosevelt dimes, worth just 10 cents, could actually be worth thousands? Watch till the end as we reveal the rare and valuable Roosevelt One Dime coins that are making collectors pay top dollar. In 1960, a seemingly ordinary dime, tucked away in countless wallets and pockets across the United States, held the potential to become something far more valuable than anyone could have imagined. What most people didn't know at the time was that some of those dimes, produced during the year 1960, would later be recognized as rare and highly sought-after treasures in the world of numismatics. Today, we're going to take a journey into the fascinating world of the 1960 Roosevelt dime, a coin that has intrigued collectors and investors alike, and explore why it's one of the most valuable dimes in American history. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, to honor his leadership and legacy. His portrait was chosen to grace the obverse of the coin, and this design has remained unchanged since its debut. The Roosevelt dime features an image of Roosevelt facing left, with his distinctive profile captured in great detail. Above his head is the inscription, "Liberty," a reminder of the country's dedication to freedom. Along the left side, the words, "In God We Trust," can be found, a phrase that has been a part of American coinage since the Civil War. Below Roosevelt's image is the mint year, which in this case, is 1960. On the reverse side of the dime, we see a simple yet powerful design, a torch, olive branch, and oak branch. These symbols represent liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. The torch is often associated with freedom, while the olive branch symbolizes peace and the oak branch represents strength and endurance. The combination of these symbols was carefully chosen to convey the virtues that America stood for and that Roosevelt himself championed during his presidency. In 1960, the United States Mint produced billions of dimes in the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and most of them were circulated in the everyday transactions of American citizens. However, as is the case with many coins, only a select few were preserved in exceptional condition, and it is these coins that are now considered rare and valuable to collectors. The standard dimes from 1960 were minted in a mix of copper and nickel, a combination that has been used for decades in the production of dimes. These coins are generally not rare in terms of mintage numbers. However, what makes certain 1960 dimes incredibly valuable are the unique variations that exist among them, particularly in their minting processes. In 1960, there was a significant shift in how dimes were produced. At the Philadelphia Mint, there were issues with the dies used to strike the coins. Some of the coins that were struck had noticeable defects or were misstruck, creating errors that would go on to make them highly sought after by numismatists. For example, there were dimes struck with double die errors, where the design elements, such as the date or liberty, appear to be doubled or misaligned. These errors, though subtle to the untrained eye, are what make these coins so valuable to collectors who specialize in rare and unique pieces. In addition to the misstruck coins, there were also dimes that were exceptionally well preserved, having escaped the usual wear and tear from circulation. Coins that remain in near-perfect or uncirculated condition are incredibly rare, especially when considering that dimes, being a small denomination, are frequently used and therefore subject to more damage. When a 1960 Roosevelt dime is graded as MS-67, mint state 67, or higher, it's considered a true gem among collectors, as most coins from this era simply didn't survive the years in such pristine condition. Now, as we look at the rarity and condition of the 1960 Roosevelt dime, it's important to understand that coin collectors and investors alike are constantly on the lookout for these exceptional pieces. The coin market is driven by a combination of factors, including mintage numbers, rarity, condition, and historical significance. With the 1960 Roosevelt dime, it's the rarity and condition of the individual coins that have made them so highly coveted. But even among the coins that remain in pristine condition, there are still some that are considered far more valuable due to the unique errors they feature, or the incredible preservation they've undergone. One of the most prized 1960 dimes is the 1960 D. Denver Mint, Roosevelt dime, which was struck with an extremely rare die error. Some of these dimes feature a D/D mint mark, meaning that the mint mark on the coin appears twice, once over the other. This was the result of a mistake during the minting process, and it's incredibly rare. Coins with this error are highly sought after because they represent a significant anomaly in the production of the dime series. Coins like this one, along with other high-quality specimens, are what draw collectors to this specific year of Roosevelt dimes. For these error coins, it's not uncommon for them to fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction, depending on their condition and the rarity of the error they feature. But even among those without minting errors, the 1960 Roosevelt dime has held a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its timeless design and the historical significance behind it. It serves as a reminder of the dedication and leadership of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and it carries with it a certain sense of pride for collectors who appreciate the history that these coins represent. As we take a closer look at the market for the 1960 Roosevelt dime, it's clear that demand for high-grade specimens has been rising steadily over the years. Coins that were once worth only face value are now being sold for significant sums. The rarest, most well-preserved, and error-struck coins have become sought-after collectibles that are often sold at high-end coin auctions, where bidding wars can drive prices up significantly. Now, we come to the big reveal. How much can a 1960 Roosevelt dime actually be worth? The answer might surprise you. Some of the most exceptional examples of this coin have fetched incredible prices in recent auctions. One such example, a 1960 D Roosevelt dime in MS-67, was sold for an astounding $131,000. For collectors who are lucky enough to find a high-grade 1960 Roosevelt dime, or even a rare error coin, the potential for significant financial gain is real. These coins are not just pieces of currency, they are pieces of history, embodying both the artistry of the U.S. Mint and the legacy of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The 1960 Roosevelt dime serves as a reminder that sometimes, the smallest pieces of change can hold the greatest value, and that even the most overlooked coins can turn out to be rare treasures waiting to be discovered. So, if you happen to come across a 1960 Roosevelt dime, take a moment to examine it carefully. You never know, you might be holding on to a valuable piece of American history that could be worth far more than its face value. Up next, the 1985 Roosevelt dime, a coin that might seem like just another everyday dime, but with a surprising and compelling story behind it. As we look back, the 1985 Roosevelt dime holds a place in history that many collectors never expected, but for those in the know, it's a coin worth paying attention to. The Roosevelt dime, first introduced in 1946, was designed to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. His image, gracing the obverse of the coin, was a tribute to his leadership, especially his role in establishing Social Security, which continues to shape American society today. The coin was designed by John R. Sinek, the U.S. Mint's chief engraver, and its classic simplicity makes it instantly recognizable. However, it's the 1985 version that stands out among the crowd of regular circulating dimes. Why does the 1985 Roosevelt dime hold such appeal among collectors? Well, just like any collectible, it's not just about the year a coin was minted, but about the circumstances around it. The United States Mint produced billions of dimes in 1985, but not all of them are created equal. While most dimes from this year were minted and circulated like any other, some of the coins were released into circulation in such pristine condition that they've become gems in the eyes of collectors. But it's not just about condition. Some of the 1985 Roosevelt dimes feature minting errors that set them apart from others. One of the most sought-after varieties is the double die error, where the design on the coin appears to be doubled, typically in the date or the word Liberty. These errors, though subtle to the naked eye, can make a massive difference in the coin's value, and numismatists are always on the lookout for such anomalies. A double die error makes the 1985 Roosevelt dime rare and highly desirable for collectors who specialize in error coins. As we dig deeper into the value of these coins, it's important to understand how important preservation is. The 1985 Roosevelt dime, like many coins, is prone to the usual wear and tear of circulation. Most dimes from this year have been subjected to countless transactions, handling, and time. But the real treasure is in the high-quality, uncirculated coins that have managed to escape this fate. The 1985 dimes that were carefully preserved, those that have remained in almost perfect condition, are incredibly valuable today. The highest-graded 1985 Roosevelt dimes are considered the holy grail of this series. A coin graded as MS-67, mint state 67, or higher is considered to be in mint condition, with no visible wear, scratches, or imperfections. Coins like this are rare, as the vast majority of coins minted in 1985 were in circulation and didn't survive the years in such pristine condition. When a 1985 Roosevelt dime reaches this level of quality, it becomes highly sought after by collectors who understand the significance of owning a coin of this caliber. beyond condition. Another factor that drives the value of the 1985 Roosevelt dime is the historical context. 1985 was a year of relative peace in the United States, but it was also a time of economic growth. The country was recovering from the early 1980s recession, and Ronald Reagan was finishing up his second term as president. The dimes minted that year were part of the everyday transactions for American citizens, yet now, decades later, they have taken on a new significance. Coins like these serve as tangible reminders of a specific moment in American history, a time when the country was building itself back up. One of the standout examples of the 1985 Roosevelt dime is a coin from the Philadelphia Mint that was struck with an error on the reverse, making it a unique find. These types of mistakes, whether it's a misalignment, doubling, or a struck-through error, add another layer of intrigue and rarity to the coin. With error coins, it's not just about finding a mistake, it's about the story the coin tells. Each error represents a small, but significant, hiccup in the minting process, and collectors love to own these pieces of history. As we turn our attention to the market for the 1985 Roosevelt dime, we see a growing interest in this particular year. With collectors constantly searching for higher quality pieces and rare errors, the 1985 dime has been experiencing an increase in demand. But, as with any collectible, not every 1985 Roosevelt dime will fetch a high price. It's the combination of rarity, condition, and any unique minting errors that elevate a coin from a common item to a valuable piece of numismatic history. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the value of a 1985 Roosevelt dime in today's market. While the majority of these coins still circulate at face value, the rare, high-grade, and error-struck versions can reach incredible prices. In fact, some of the most exceptional specimens of the 1985 Roosevelt dime have sold at auction for as much as $119,000. That's right, a coin worth just 10 cents when it was originally minted can now be worth an astonishing amount, thanks to its rarity, condition, and the intrigue of error varieties. To sum it up, the 1985 Roosevelt dime is more than just a piece of currency, it's a coin that has stood the test of time, gone through the circulation process, and emerged as a rare and valuable collectible. If you happen to have a 1985 Roosevelt dime in your collection, or you come across one while sorting through your spare change, take a closer look. It might just be worth far more than its face value. And if you've got one of those rare, high-quality, or error-struck dimes, you might be holding on to an absolute gem. In 1997, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Roosevelt dimes, a coin that might seem ordinary to most, but holds within it a fascinating story of rarity, value, and historical significance. The Roosevelt dime, introduced in 1946, has long been a staple of American coinage, representing both President Franklin D. Roosevelt and a period of American history filled with innovation, perseverance, and change. While most dimes from 1997 are still in circulation today with little to no special value, a select few have caught the eye of collectors. These dimes, in pristine condition or featuring rare errors, are highly coveted by numismatists and can fetch remarkable prices at auction. The design of the Roosevelt dime has remained largely unchanged since its introduction in 1946. The obverse, or front of the coin, features a profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, whose face was chosen to appear on the coin following his death in 1945. The reverse, or back of the coin, features a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, which represent the values of liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. These enduring symbols have made the Roosevelt dime instantly recognizable, but it is not just the design that has led to the coin's place in history, it is also the unique circumstances surrounding each coin that gives it its value today. The 1997 Roosevelt dime is no different in terms of design, but what sets it apart is the quality and condition of the specific coins minted that year. Most of the 1997 dimes struck by the U.S. Mint were mass-produced for circulation, with millions of coins distributed to the public. However, a small fraction of those coins were preserved in pristine condition, free from the usual wear and tear that comes from being used in daily transactions. These high-quality specimens, particularly those in near-perfect or mint condition, hold significant appeal to collectors, as they are increasingly rare. When we talk about mint condition, we are referring to coins that have remained almost as perfect as the day they were struck. A coin in mint condition will exhibit sharp details, a glossy finish, and no visible signs of wear, scratches, or damage. These coins, often graded by organizations like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, can be valued at much higher prices than their worn counterparts. The 1997 Roosevelt Dime, in particular, has seen its value soar when in such exceptional condition, but condition is just one part of the equation. A truly valuable 1997 Roosevelt Dime can also be one that features an error. Minting errors occur when there is a problem during the coinmaking process, such as a misalignment of the dies, double strikes, or other unusual occurrences. These errors can make a coin stand out in the eyes of collectors. While the majority of dimes from 1997 are free from such flaws, there have been a handful of coins struck with noticeable errors, which can cause their value to skyrocket. One such error is the double die variety, which occurs when the design elements on the coin are struck more than once, leading to a blurry or doubled appearance. These types of errors are often subtle, but for collectors who are experienced in spotting them, they are like hidden gems. On the 1997 Roosevelt Dime, the error might appear in the word Liberty or in the date 1997 itself. If you were to find a 1997 dime with a double die, it would instantly be considered more valuable than its perfectly struck counterparts. While it may be difficult to detect the error with the naked eye, numismatists use magnification tools to spot these subtle yet important details. In addition to minting errors, the way a coin is stored and preserved also plays a critical role in determining its value. Many collectors and investors focus on coins that have been carefully stored in controlled environments to avoid damage. Coins like the 1997 Roosevelt Dime, which are stored in high-quality holders or coin capsules, are protected from the elements and other potential sources of damage. A 1997 Roosevelt Dime that has been preserved in such a manner is far more likely to maintain its pristine condition and, therefore, command a higher price. As we look into the market for 1997 Roosevelt Dimes, the story becomes even more intriguing. The 1997 dimes, while not as famous as other key date coins, have quietly gained recognition over time. The rarity of high-grade examples, combined with the limited number of error coins, has created a demand among collectors who are keen to add these unique pieces to their collections. While many people are unaware of the potential value of their 1997 Roosevelt dimes, savvy collectors understand that the right coin, in the right condition, can fetch an impressive price. Now, let's talk about the value of the 1997 Roosevelt dime in today's market. Most of the 1997 dimes you encounter in your change jar are worth just 10 cents. However, if you happen to find a 1997 Roosevelt dime in gem-quality condition, graded as MS67 or higher, or one that features a significant minting error, you could be in for a real surprise. The value of a well-preserved 1997 Roosevelt dime, depending on its grade, could range anywhere from a few dollars to several $1,000s. But the most extraordinary of these coins, those in pristine condition or with rare errors, can fetch auction prices as high as $84,000. Yes, that's right, what was once a simple dime worth only 10 cents could now be worth an extraordinary sum, simply because of its rarity, exceptional preservation, or unique minting characteristics. So, if you find yourself with a 1997 Roosevelt dime, don't just toss it aside. Take a moment to examine it closely. You might be holding on to a coin that has incredible value hidden beneath its surface. Whether you have a perfectly preserved gem or a rare error coin, the 1997 Roosevelt dime is a reminder that even the most unassuming pieces of currency can become priceless treasures in the world of coin collecting. Keep an eye on your change, and you could be the next lucky person to discover a valuable piece of numismatic history. In 2016, millions of Roosevelt dimes were minted and circulated throughout the United States, yet some of these seemingly ordinary dimes have become valuable collector's items. You may be surprised to learn that what appears to be just a 10-cent coin could, under the right circumstances, be worth far more, potentially even thousands of dollars. What makes these dimes so intriguing, and why do certain examples from 2016 command such impressive auction prices? Today, we're going to explore the history, design, minting process, and the rare qualities that have elevated the 2016 Roosevelt dime to a status that far surpasses its face value. First, let's dive into the history of the Roosevelt dime. This coin was first introduced in 1946, in memory of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, following his death in 1945. Roosevelt had been a pivotal figure in American history, particularly known for his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. His association with the March of Dimes, an organization that helped combat polio, made him a fitting figure for a coin that would serve as a symbol of progress and perseverance. The design of the coin, created by artist John R. Sinek, features Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse, with a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch on the reverse. These symbols represent liberty, peace, and strength, qualities that Roosevelt embodied during his presidency. Though the design has remained largely unchanged since its introduction, each year's strike of the Roosevelt dime carries with it a new layer of history. The 2016 dime, like other dimes from the series, was created primarily for circulation, but the appeal of this coin lies in the fact that not all of them are created equal. The vast majority of 2016 Roosevelt dimes are still in regular use today. They were distributed to businesses, banks, and individuals for everyday transactions, so most are worn, scratched, or damaged to some extent. But the real value lies in the few that have survived in pristine condition, unscathed by time and use. When we talk about the value of a coin like the 2016 Roosevelt dime, one of the most important factors to consider is its condition. Collectors often look for coins that are in mint condition, coins that have been preserved carefully and show little to no signs of wear. For example, a coin graded as MS-67, mint state 67, or higher would be considered to be in excellent condition, with no visible signs of damage. Dimes that are graded highly are worth much more than those in lower grades, simply because they represent a rarer find. It's much harder to find a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition than one that has been through years of circulation, but the 2016 Roosevelt dime also stands out because it features rare varieties and errors, which can add to its value. One of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting is the presence of minting errors. These errors occur when there is a malfunction during the minting process, and they can happen for a variety of reasons, such as misaligned dies, double strikes, or other unique mistakes. When such an error is discovered on a coin, it can drastically increase the coin's value. While minting errors are rare, they are one of the key factors that draw collectors to certain coins. For example, a 2016 Roosevelt dime with a double die, where the design is unintentionally struck twice, could be worth far more than a typical 2016 dime. These subtle errors can be difficult to detect without magnification, but collectors and professional graders are able to spot them. Minting errors can range from die cracks to off-center strikes or even more complex issues like repunched mint marks. Some of these mistakes are so rare that they're considered one of a kind, making the coin even more valuable. For example, a 2016 Roosevelt dime with a visible die crack running through Roosevelt's neck or a significant misalignment of the design elements is an extremely rare find. These anomalies, while imperceptible to the average person, are incredibly desirable to numismatists, those dedicated collectors who specialize in the study and collection of coins. Additionally, a select number of 2016 Roosevelt dimes were minted as part of the U.S. Mint special programs, such as proof coins or mint set coins. These coins were struck using specialized dies and processes to ensure that they had exceptional quality, with shiny, mirror-like surfaces that show off the details of the design in sharp relief. Proof coins are produced in smaller quantities than the typical circulation dimes, and because of their superior quality, they tend to attract more interest from collectors. A 2016 Roosevelt dime that has been preserved as a proof coin can fetch a higher price simply because it's rarer, more pristine, and often more visually striking than its counterparts. The appeal of the 2016 Roosevelt dime goes beyond just its condition or errors, though. For many collectors, the 2016 dime holds sentimental value, particularly as it was struck during a significant year in U.S. history. The year 2016 marked the end of President Obama's second term, and it also saw the lead up to the 2016 presidential election, a period that was full of political tension and anticipation. Coins minted during specific years often carry an added sense of historical significance, and the 2016 Roosevelt dime is no exception. As time goes on, coins like this may become even more valued for their representation of the political and social climate of that era. Now, let's get to the exciting part, the value. While the vast majority of 2016 Roosevelt dimes are worth only 10 cents, certain examples in top condition can fetch astronomical prices. For a 2016 Roosevelt dime to be worth a significant sum, it needs to meet certain criteria, usually a high-quality grade, a rare minting error, or being part of a proof set. In fact, some of these coins have been sold at auction for upwards of $24,000, a far cry from the 10-cent value most people associate with dimes. These coins, whether in flawless condition or featuring rare minting errors, are highly sought after by collectors who are looking to add them to their prized collections. It's important to note that these high auction prices aren't reserved for every 2016 Roosevelt dime, but rather the coins that stand out in some way, whether through exceptional preservation or a minting error that makes them unique. If you happen to come across a 2016 dime, don't immediately dismiss it as just another piece of pocket change. Take a moment to examine it closely. Is it in pristine condition? Does it show any signs of a minting error? You might just have a valuable coin in your possession. In conclusion, the 2016 Roosevelt dime is an excellent example of how even the most ordinary coins can hold significant value for collectors. Its relatively recent minting date and subtle qualities make it an intriguing coin in the world of numismatics. Whether you find one in pristine condition or stumble upon an error coin, there's no denying the potential for a windfall. So, next time you're going through your change, keep an eye out. You might just be holding onto a 10-cent coin worth far more than you could ever imagine.